Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing my labor and delivery story time, and how baby JJ was welcomed into this world. Shoot, I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this story. This is a real life event. Okay. So June 15th at 8 p.m. was when my induction was scheduled for. Isaac and I were I was extremely nervous. I think Isaac was too. So I'm just going to say Isaac and I were both extremely nervous. We walked up to the doors where we thought we were supposed to go, and it said closed. And we were like, what? The hospital can't be closed on a Sunday. But it was the lab spot, so that's why it was closed. So we walked to the other side of the building, and we walked right past the big sign that said check in at the emergency desk. So we just went to the elevator because I knew how to get to where I was going, but I didn't read the sign. And then we walked back, and I was like, oh, there's big signs, we literally missed it. And we checked into the desk, and a lady let us in and let us through the elevator, and then we walked back, and it was long halls, and it was like creepy. There was like no one in there, and we made it to the birthing center. Right as I walked into my room, the nurse was like, okay, we have a gown on the bed for you. You can wear your bra if it doesn't have metal, because the monitor won't read the baby's heartbeat if you have metal on your bra, and we need your underwear off. And I was like, are we staying the night? Because we left our stuff in the car. Could we go get it? And she looked at me like I was stupid, but I'm just the first time doing this. So she was like, yeah, go get your stuff. So we went and got our stuff and had to do all of the process again. I prepared for the nurse, told her, or did what she told me to do, and then laid on the bed. She started putting monitors on me to check the baby's heartbeat. She checked my cervix, which I was 1.5 centimeters dilated, and apparently I was already having contractions, but I just thought they were cramps. The nurse did not tell me that I was having contractions until I was 3 centimeters dilated, and I was like, oh, can you see it on the monitor? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, why didn't you tell me? But I think it's because if she told me, she thinks I would have been in more pain, but I was already in pain. I was already having back pain and cramping. But whatever. At 10:30 p.m., I had arrived there at 8. I should have got my meds sooner, but she got me my meds at 10:30, and it took 4 hours. But the pill that she gave me, it was to soften up my cervix and dilate me more. She told me this process could take up to 3 days because JJ is my first kid. So I was texting my sister. I was telling people oh my gosh, they told me it might take 3 days. I'm nervous. I don't want to be at the hospital this long, and stuff like that. And my sister was like, oh gosh. And I got my IV in my hand. I sent my sister a picture of me, and I said, this hurt like a bee. And she was like, that will be the least of your worries soon. I was like, okay, girl, I guess. But yeah. The process did not take 3 days, and you guys are going to hear that in the rest of the story. The next time she came into my room, I was in a lot of pain, contractions, and lower back pain. She checked my cervix, because I thought that my water broke, I thought that my water broke, and it hadn't. There was a little bit of water and bloody, I guess. But I don't know. It was right before my water broke. So I thought my water broke because it was going down my leg and stuff like that. And then she checked, and I was 3 centimeters dilated. And right after that, she went out of the room, and 15 maybe minutes went by, and I called her and I said, or my water broke, and I told Isaac, I said, my water broke, and he was like, how do you know? And it was like a big gush and pool of water, and I was like, oh, you can tell. I didn't know how to like explain it or anything like that. So then I called my nurse and I'm like, my water definitely just broke. And she laughed and she said she'd be right here. And then she checked me. I was 4 centimeters dilated, and she was telling me like, oh, that things were gonna start moving quickly after this, and they did. So they weren't gonna give me any more medication to help me cervix. It was gone. It was softened. I mean, and she could like feel the baby's head obviously and stuff like that. So everything was going good. That's when I asked like about pain meds. I was like, if I want a pain med, like when should I do that, blah blah blah, and stuff like that. And she said that she wouldn't give me any until 5 centimeters because if I took one now, there's 3 doses of it, and the first one is the strongest, and then the other 2 are like less and less effective. So she didn't want me to have them then and then them not help me later on. But I think this was a scam. So she told me like she would let me have them after 5 centimeters dilated. Isaac was like rubbing my back, putting cold washcloth, which helped the most. Oh, by the way, it was like 2:30, so it took like 4 hours for me to get from 1.5 to 3 centimeters. But after that, it only took 2 hours from 3 centimeters to 9. Like, you're gonna hear the times and you're gonna be like, dang, girl. But Isaac was helping me. He was like rubbing my back, putting ice cold washcloth on my back. That was the thing that helped the most. And telling me to squeeze his hand if I needed to. But I wasn't really like listening. I was like pulling at my own hair because I didn't want to like hurt him, even though I was having a lot of pain and stuff like that. I don't know what I was thinking. And I kept telling Isaac like, oh, like I can't do this. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like he was gonna bring me home and like we weren't gonna have a kid. Silly. At one point I had asked the doctor, I said, am I a wimp? And she said, no, you're doing really good. So I was getting feeling more pain. Isaac pushed my call light for me to tell the nurse, like, oh, she needs the pain meds. And the nurse told us, like, she'd check in soon to see how dilated I was. She had another patient to take care of, so yeah. It took 30 minutes for her to get to my room. So she checked my cervix again, and she said, you're not going to believe this, but you're 9 centimeters dilated. Charlie wants to make an appearance, and she was like, we don't usually give meds after this, like at this point. So I was like, really, girl? But it was fine. At that point, I was like, oh, I'm ready to push. This baby's about to come out. And stuff like that. So when you're having contractions and you're actually pushing, it feels so much better than when you're just laying in bed. By the way, they wouldn't let me get out of bed because they were monitoring his heartbeat, and I was getting so frustrated. I was like, no, I need to get out of this bed. I need to walk around. And she was like, no, we have to monitor the baby's head or heart rate or whatever, and you need to lay down. We can't monitor it when you're sitting up like that and stuff like that. And I was just like, so I have to lay in one spot and be in pain? Really? Yep, that's how it is. Okay. So right after she told me I was 9 centimeters dilated, I told Isaac, like, call my sister. Things are gonna be going quickly. So called my sister. She was sitting in the parking lot from 3:30 to 4, I think, is when we called her to tell her, like, get in here. Things are moving quick. Like I said, it took 2 hours, or not even 2 hours, to get from 3 centimeters to 9 centimeters. So it was really moving by super quickly. And in the moment, like, it felt like it was going by even faster. When they started telling me to, like, push and stuff, Isaac was holding one leg and my sister was holding the other. and Isaac, they were like telling me to hold my breath, and they were counting down like usual. Isaac was holding his breath with me, like, because he thought he was like helping or something. He's not really sure. And he's like, I think I'm gonna pass out. And I look at him, he's like super duper white. And so the nurse calls in somebody to get him orange juice and made him sit down and put his head between his legs. And he started feeling better. They were telling me like, oh, we see his head. He has a lot of hair. And I was like, is he coming? And they were like, yes, he's coming. And she was like, do you want to feel? And I was like, no. I was grossed out. Oh my gosh. So I was like pushing for 30 minutes, and that's when he began to crown. They were telling me like, we can see his head, his hairs. He's got a lot of hair. And then like his head was there, so that meaning I was about to feel a ring of fire, and he was about to come out. About 10 minutes later, JJ was born at 4 something in the morning. I'm not gonna say exactly what minute. The first thing he did was poop on me, and he flipped me off. But I still thought he was cute. I still think he's cute. I did skin to skin for the first couple of hours of his life, and Isaac cut the cord and cried tears of joy. I had my sister texting people for me, telling them that he was born, sending pictures and stuff like that, and so that I didn't have to be on my phone, I could enjoy the moment. The nurse was supposed to like get his weight and get his height right away, like after a few minutes of skin to skin, but they did not. He was on me for 2 hours, just about, and she kept leaving the room and doing other things. I did tear, so there was the actual doctor in there like stitching me up while they were like cleaning and stuff like that. Um, so that was going on. There was Isaac, my sister, Isaac, Isaac, my sister. There was two nurses, and then the doctor, and then there was a lady who kept coming in and out just trying to chit chat with one of the nurses, which was really irritating because I was like, who is this? Like, is this another person's family member? Like, another patient's family member, like, trying to get one of the nurses to come to the room? And it was just, like, irritating. Another thing that happened when I was pushing is the nurse walked away. My nurse walked away. And then she came back and she told me, okay, one more time. And I was like, no, I already did 3 in a row. My sister said it, like, she thought it was funny. Okay. Anyways, the hospital stay, like, there was like a lot of bad things, and I experienced a lot of like bad and stuff, things I wouldn't want to experience, but it wasn't like absolutely terrible and stuff. But the first thing is my milk wasn't fully in yet, and they told me that it wouldn't be in for 4 to 5 days or longer. And they told me like I was starving my baby and stuff like that, which was really awful because I was already like stressed out about breastfeeding, and yeah, that was fun. Then like they 2 ladies came in and were forcing JJ to my breast for like 45 minutes straight, and he was just screaming his head off. They were like trying to make me hold him in different positions, and trying different like nipple shields because my nipples were like flat for some reason. They were doing all sorts of things that did not work, and then they just kind of like, one of the girls gave up and just like went out of my room and went to do something else. They told me that they would help me do a shower at one point, and they left me in a bloody gown for days, and I really felt disgusting. I wanted to be in my own clothes, which I was fine. If they got me a new gown, I would have been fine in a new gown, but I wanted like to be in fresh clothes. I wanted to be clean. I didn't want to be smelling nasty. I felt so disgusting. Like, your body releases so many fluids and stuff, and it's just gross. Like, and my baby pooped on me, and you guys aren't going to take care of me. They also told me they would help me and like show me and Isaac giving a bath to JJ multiple times. They did mention like giving him a bath, and each time they did not help us. So he never got a bath in the hospital, and he got circumcised, and his belly button, we can't, like his umbilical cord, so we can't give him a bath for like a week or week to a week and a half. So like he kind of stinks right now, gross, and he's still covered in my bodily fluids. Like, there's stuff in his hair and stuff, and it's just gross. But one good thing about my stay was the time moved by really quickly. At night, the nurses, the good nurse Lori, she would take JJ and cuddle him. She said it was the best part of her job because she just loves cuddling with babies. She said her youngest is 9 and doesn't want to do anything with her mom. So that was nice. So we could get some sleep. At the hospital, one night I got 4 hours, and the next day I got 5, so, or like vice versa. So that was really nice to get some sleep, because he was waking up every hour, like just screaming. And the day before I hadn't slept because I was awake with the contractions and stuff like that. The nurse kept telling me, "Oh, go to sleep," and I'm like, I can't sleep. The nurse I had the first night, I did not like her. I'll just tell you that. But some of the good things were, there was a breakfast burrito. It was really good. I got it for all 3 of the mornings that I was there. One of the foods that was really bad was the chicken tenders and fries. Isaac had them, and they were just nasty. I had a pot pie there and lemonade and a chocolate chip cookie with cottage cheese for a meal, and it was good. I had some great nurses and some bad ones. My birth was pretty quick, I'd say, and I was expecting it to hurt a lot worse, and be just like a lot worse than it was, because people, I don't know why, but people try to scare pregnant people into thinking that it's gonna be worse, like everything's gonna be so bad, but it's not that bad. Like, of course people have health issues and health concerns, and like think people do have bad experiences and stuff like that, but you shouldn't be scaring pregnant people. They're already going through a lot of change, and their hormones are changing. They're already thinking about all of the things and scared, and then you guys add on top of that, and it's just awful. But that is my labor and delivery story. Thank you guys for joining, and I will see you guys in the next video.